Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia. If you just see me for the first time, thank you, welcome. I'm a Nigerian and I live here in South Africa with my family and I make various content. I'm sure you will like it here on this channel. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit on the subscribe button. It's free and it's just a click away from you. And when you hit on the subscribe button, hit on the bell sign. That's where you'll be notified of my subsequent videos, okay? So to all my returning subscribers, thank you very much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. In today's video, I want to talk about the fact that South Africans hold their government accountable more than Nigerians and most African countries, and why, okay? So in today's video, I'm talking about the fact that South Africans hold their governments, their leaders accountable in various aspects more than Nigerians and other African countries, and I'll also say why I think that is the reason, okay? So in the last live video I made, I talked about it was a very long discussion. You can catch up on the channel, and I talked about South Africans and Nigerians and other African countries do not hold their leaders accountable. Yeah, that was the topic, and we had a lot of discussions on that particular live stream. I had a few people join me, so I came to the conclusion that actually South Africans actually hold their leaders responsible. They actually hold their leaders accountable more than Nigerians and more than some other African countries, and there are some reasons why they hold their leaders accountable more, and there are some reasons why country like Nigeria, maybe I don't know about other African countries, at least Nigeria I know for sure because I'm a Nigerian. There are some reasons why Nigerians do not hold their leaders as accountable as South Africans hold their leaders, okay? South Africans hold their leaders accountable in the sense that if their leaders promise them something, like say one of the things someone said on that live stream was that the president had promised that he was going to build I think low-cost houses or something. Correct me, guys. And he has not done that yet, and they keep reminding him, okay? They keep reminding him, okay? So they hold their leaders accountable. And another reason is they come for protests most times. In most cases, if South Africans don't agree with something that their leader is doing, their president or whoever their leader is, they protest. They take to the streets, they protest, they have roadblocks, they talk about it, they protest, okay? So they always have this protest where they disagree, and they disagree to something that the leader is doing or something that is not going well for them, or something that they feel is not going well. So they have mediums of disagreeing with the leaders, which is in form of protest, okay? So that's another one. Another way South Africans hold their leaders accountable is if they feel as though a leader is not doing right, or a political party or something, they are not getting what they want, they always take them out. They always make sure that that political party that is not doing it right by them, they vote them out, okay, without sentiment. South Africans are not sentimental when it comes to their leaders doing it right, or if they feel their leaders are not doing it right, they always vote them out immediately and vote in the person that they feel as though is doing it right. Again, sometimes, not in all cases, but I would say this one is not always, but sometimes South Africans are vocal about what they want from their leaders, what they actually want, what they feel they are getting, and what they feel they can get better, and what they feel is not going right. If you listen to their radios, I always listen to Metro FM and other radio stations, they're always vocal about, this one is not working, this maybe when there was load shedding, people always complain, they always hold their leaders accountable, and they're like, oh, this ANC government, oh, this so and so. I'm just using as an instance, okay? So I feel South Africans actually hold their leaders responsible as opposed to Nigerians. Another way I feel South Africans hold their leaders responsible, they feel as though South Africa is the only home they have, which is actually correct, and they feel that I drawed all these things I'm saying from the last live stream where South Africans came in and called in and typed in and everything. They feel as though this is the only home they have. They are not prone, they are not known to actually travel out of South Africa. They feel they want to make South Africa better for their children, okay? That is another reason they always hold their leaders accountable. They feel the predecessors, people like Nelson Mandela and the legend and other legends fought for the freedom of the people. So they don't want the leaders, the present leaders, to mess, to jeopardize everything that was fought for. So in that way, they're always vocal. They're always like, no, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. That is how I feel they hold their leaders accountable. As opposed to Nigerians, why I would say Nigerians don't hold their leaders accountable as much as South Africans do is that in most cases, Nigerians may want to vote a particular leader out, but there are some people that will usually sabotage the movements. There are some Nigerians, yeah, they know that a particular leader or a particular government is not doing well or will not do well, but others will want to kind of make sure that this person doesn't come in power or this person is voted out. But there are people that will sabotage the movement. So it's kind of half and half. There are some people that will sabotage the movement using probably tribalism, using religion. Oh, he's from this part of Nigeria, he's from this part. That's Nigeria for you. Some people sabotage when others want to actually make sure that the government is held accountable. In social media, if you talk about, oh, this government is not doing what they're supposed to do, some people will start playing the religious game or tribalism game. So that's where due to this kind of sabotage, you see people not wanting to hold the leaders accountable, people not wanting to talk about it. Yeah. Another way I feel Nigerians do not hold their leaders accountable is that instead of them to actually strive, inclusive, most Nigerians, instead of them to strive to make sure that the leaders do it right by them, they sought for alternatives. Okay, the alternative might be just looking for a way to do well for yourself and do well for your family. Some of those ways may be, taking your expertise abroad. Yeah, taking your expertise abroad, looking for a country that needs your expertise and going to work there and making sure your family and you are fine. That is Nigerians for you. Okay, that's some Nigerians. I'll always use some in everything I say because there's always an exception, okay? There's always an exception to the rules. So some Nigerians find alternatives. That's why they don't hold their leaders as much accountable. Some Nigerians look for means to survive, okay? I'll also say that why I also feel that Nigerians don't hold their leaders accountable. Let me say to the point of, let's say, electricity shortage has been a problem in Nigeria for too long, although I hear it's getting better right now, I must say, but not as much as we want it to be. So what Nigerians did, instead of them to actually hold the leaders accountable, oh, this thing that is actually happening in the country right now, we don't want it, as at when it started, like South Africans, when their load shedding was starting, they always vocalized. Nigerians, we sorted ourselves out. They found an alternative. Most people now resorted to using generators to power their own homes. Even when water shortage became a thing in Nigeria, I don't think water board even works in Nigeria anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're a Nigerian. When we were younger, there was water board. We call it water board. People that were in charge of water. Water used to run in our houses 24 hours when I was young. In the 80s and early 90s. Okay, 80s. I was born in the 80s. But in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, but at the time things began to deteriorate. There was no longer water. We will no longer have water. So what did Nigerians do? We did not hold our leaders accountable to that effect or in that regard. Rather, people started sourcing for their own water themselves by opening boreholes, generating boreholes in their homes, where they now supply themselves water instead of relying on the water board. So when that happened, you find out that most people now have water. Even before you start building a house, I know we ourselves and a lot of people, before you start building a house in Nigeria, you just try and build a borehole for yourself first before you start erecting the house. That is one of the ways we don't hold our leaders accountable, because if we hold them responsible before things really deteriorate, they may find a solution. But we as Nigerians always try to sort themselves out. Yeah, they try to sort themselves out. The leaders just relax and say, okay, you guys have sorted yourself out. That's fine. I know you always sort yourself out. I'm just saying what an average Nigerian leader would be saying. Oh, you guys, I know you always sort yourself out anyway. So Nigerians always sort themselves out. Unlike South Africans will always say, no, you people will give us this, give us this, give us this. And some people misconstrued it to, oh, you guys are always entitled, South Africans. But it's actually the right thing to do. Hold your leaders that are there to serve you accountable hold them responsible when things are not working. Tell them, don't seek your own solution yourself. You can actually, but yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, you should actually hold the leaders responsible. Tell them, you're not doing this right, you have to do this right, do this right, do this right. So this is some of the ways I feel Nigerians are not holding the leaders responsible. They try to sort the things themselves. They try to resort to traveling out of the country. They kind of become selfish and self-centered, and probably not inclusive. We're not thinking about, okay, what are we leaving for the next generation, because you feel as though the politicians are also sorting themselves out. We Nigerians now decide to, okay, also sort ourselves out. Another way Nigerians are not holding their leaders accountable, we are not asking for specific things. In a few cases where we do some protests, peaceful protests like EndSARS or the last End Bad Governance that was held in Nigeria this year 2024, we don't ask for specifics, because if we ask for a specific, like the instance I gave where South African will ask for, oh, President, you said you're going to build so and so structure for us, you have not done it, do it for us. That is what holding leaders accountable is. Unlike we Nigerians that probably do not ask for specifics. When we don't ask for specifics, the leaders may not actually understand what they are meant to do, and the leaders may not do it, even they don't even understand what we are asking for. Okay, yeah, that's what I gathered from that live video. Now, reasons why it's so. I'll start from South Africa. South Africa government has given the people the voice. There's an enabling environment for you to ask from the government, and for the government to listen to your plea and cry. Okay, that's one thing that is a given. If you come out to just protest randomly in South Africa, the law protects you. It's within your rights in South Africa, and nobody will come and harass so long as it's a peaceful protest. That is one thing. So South Africans have the enabling environment to ask, to hold their leaders accountable. South Africans, they have been given the voice to ask, to speak. I would say true democracy is practiced in South Africa, unlike Nigeria, where you're also kind of weary. Oh, I don't want to be used as a scapegoat. I don't want to jeopardize my own safety, like what happened in Lekki Toll Gate, where some people became victims when they went for protest. Those are some of the reasons why South Africans are free to actually ask for these things from their leaders, hold their leaders accountable. I suppose Nigerians, where anything can happen. In some cases, yeah, we can have a peaceful protest, but when people hijack the peaceful protest, it can become messy in Nigeria. So that's one reason. So people are always, oh, I don't want to talk. And another reason Nigerians don't hold their leaders accountable, they feel as though the leaders do not care about the plight of the average Nigerian. That is what they feel. Unlike South Africans, where they know that their leaders care because of their past history, what they've been through. The leaders are actually very sensitive to their cry. Whenever they cry out, the leaders listen, and whenever they cry, the leaders listen, because they've been through some past not too good times and they've resolved their issues. And now the leaders are much more sensitive to their needs. The leaders care more, unlike Nigerians. In Nigeria, where the leaders are actually more selfish, they don't care. They care about themselves and their families. So long as they are fine, and so long as their families are fine, that's what an average Nigerian leader, is worried about. As not in all cases, in some cases, not always. I always say allegedly, and with some exceptions. So that is some of the reasons. There's an enabling environment here in South Africa. There's no enabling environment in Nigeria. Yeah, and even in other African countries, I would say maybe the same problem that Nigeria has, maybe other African countries like Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Malawi, all those other countries also may be facing allegedly, who the same thing that Nigerians are facing. So that could be the reason why these South Africans are holding their leaders accountable, and their leaders listen to them more, unlike Nigerians, where we don't hold our leaders accountable. We just travel, we just do our thing, we sort ourselves out, we look for our own electricity, we create our own jobs. In Nigeria, the unemployment rate is high. Of course, in South Africa, it's also high. In Nigeria, people just don't talk about the unemployment situation. They just find a way to look for online jobs, get a skill set and start doing things. They just forget the government, kind of. And if you complain, oh, there's no job in Nigeria, they'll tell you, sort yourself out, okay? okay, job is inside of you. Do something for yourself. There's something you can do, you know. But everyone, in the real sense of it, everyone cannot actually be an entrepreneur. But in Nigeria situation, it seems like, okay, since there are no jobs, look for a business or be an entrepreneur for yourself. So these are the reasons. So in conclusion of this video, concluding, do Nigerians hold their leaders accountable as much? No, Nigerians do not hold their leaders and their governments and their politicians accountable. Unlike South Africans, South Africans hold their leaders and their government accountable in some cases. However, I will also add that in some cases where I will also think South Africans will hold their leaders accountable, in the case of maybe if you're talking about issues with foreign nationals, I think the leaders should be answerable to that. Some of the issues with foreign nationals, I'm not talking about the real issue, maybe crime or something, maybe foreign nationals entering the country illegally and all those things. I think the South Africans need to hold their leaders accountable more in that regards, because their leaders have the right to the borders, and their leaders are actually meant to protect the borders and see to it that there are some rules. I know their South African leaders are doing that, but maybe they need to do more, and maybe the people of South Africa actually need to channel more energy towards that, you know, when they talk about it, towards their leaders, asking their leaders to intervene more than, you know, just saying it about the foreign national, just saying it randomly. But in general, South Africans actually hold their leaders responsible to a great extent, and their leaders actually listen to them to a great extent, unlike Nigerians that don't hold their leaders accountable to a great extent, and their leaders don't listen to them so much as much. And yeah, even other African countries. Yeah, thank you for watching. What do you think? Share your thoughts with me. Allegedly, everything I said is allegedly, and I'm not to put down any country, just what I think and what we gathered from the live video. I love you all. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Give this video a like, share, comment, and let's get the conversation going. And I'll see you in my next one, guys. Bye bye.